Arizona lawmakers recently extended the statute of limitations giving victims sexually abused as children until December of 2020 to go after their abuser. And now survivors in the church abuse scandal are asking the state to do more. So Nicole Kreitz joining us with more on these. You've been covering these investigations against the Catholic Church for quite a while now.
Right, and survivors are now asking our state attorney general to join other states that are taking action investigating the Catholic Church.
And that's when he said, I want you to go back out to that family and I want you to convince them not to file the report.
The church is supposed to be sort of a moral compass for all of us.
It's amazing how it was just shoved under the rug.
I am deeply sorry for your pain, and I ask your forgiveness.
The Phoenix Catholic Diocese still reeling from the sex abuse scandal. Pedophile priest preying on children.
I have a life sentence that will be with me forever.
I still suffer every day.
After decades of cover-up, a Maricopa County task force won a landmark settlement in 2003 when then Bishop Thomas O'Brien issued a public apology.
He admitted he had been transferring pedophile priests.
We have learned from our past.
Local survivors say we cannot trust the church to self-report. They want our attorney general to open a new statewide investigation and sex abuse victim hotline.
We need to give children their voice, whether they're 12 or 42.
It is time for transparency, and it is time for disclosure.
Our state attorney general says they do not have original jurisdiction here, but at least 3 other states in that very same boat are going after institutions like the Catholic Church using fraud, consumer protection, and voluntary compliance. Survivors say there is something they can and should do right now. And Mary O'Day is a survivor who runs the local chapter of SNAP, or Survivors Network of Those Abused by Priests. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So you want our AG, you have a simple request, set up a statewide hotline.
Yes, a hotline is very important because we know that victims won't report unless they feel safe. And if they don't know where to call, or if they get passed around from person to person and think they have to keep telling their story, they're not going to call. We need one number, one place where all the information is gathered, and it can't be the church, because then the church still only lets out the information they want people to know.
I talked to the Attorney General's office yesterday, and they said they absolutely want to hear. They're encouraging people to contact their local law enforcement, but they also say once you've filed with law enforcement, also reach out to the Attorney General's office. And they said they have a number down in Tucson, they have a number here in Phoenix, and they have an 800 number. I said, give us that 800 number, make it a hotline, a bona fide hotline. We're going to share that number here in a second, but here's the statement they released to us. Any potential investigation by our office, criminal or civil, are confidential by law. What we can say is that we care deeply about this issue and obtaining justice. We need victims to come forward and report abuse to their local law enforcement. We will do everything within our power to hold predators accountable. So the AG has hotlines for senior abuse, veterans alerts, frauds, and you're saying it just makes sense. Have one stop shopping clearinghouse for victims. Doesn't matter if you're in Kingman, in Phoenix, and Tucson.
Right, and what a lot of people see is people like myself or older, where we were abused as children, and a lot of the priests have died. We understand that. But if people don't report, we don't find out about priests who are still alive and who may still be in ministry or retired from ministry and now they're working with children in another school setting or a sports setting. So it's very important that people call.
When we were talking earlier, you kind of made a very easy correlation. You said if it was something as simple as an auto recall, people would be up in arms about it.
Right. If there was a situation where they had cars on a lot, the mechanic finds out that there's a problem with the safety restraint system in the car. He goes to the boss and says, this has potential to harm people. So the boss says, okay, tonight after closing, let's move that car to Kentucky, but don't tell anybody why. So then in Kentucky, someone gets the car, their child is harmed, they go back to the store and say, you know, this is a problem. And then the owner again would just say, oh, well, we don't know anything about it, but we'll check into it and we'll pay for all your bills as long as you sign this thing that you won't tell anybody what happened or why. And then it just keeps going on. If that was happening, people would be screaming for the government to get involved. And our children are still being hurt.
The Vatican could issue a directive asking their churches to work with local law enforcement. They have not done that. Our Phoenix diocese says that's part of their policy now. And you feel that they're doing better by getting victims counseling, but you still say they shouldn't be trusted as an institution.
Right. I don't believe, SNAP doesn't believe as a whole that the church will ever fix itself from the inside out. They need the outside pressure. They can't be trusted to take care of the problem.
Okay, Mary O'Day, thank you for coming in. And there was a law firm that came in just last month and put together a whole compilation of the 109 clergy across Arizona. Your organization, I know, believes that there are more out there. But again, if you have questions, you're asked to call the Attorney General's office and local law enforcement. And you can also reach out to SNAP. We're going to put those links on our website. And of course, you're meeting with them next week. So
yes,
hopefully, crossing our fingers, we'll get some action here in Arizona. Mary, thank you.
We hope so.
Yes.